to Parliament came as a mixed bag, celebrating fertilizer subsidy and reporting on a drop in unga price, promising hope for coffee farmers and asserting the promise of a debt write-off for the sugar sector. But the silence was loud on runaway energy and electricity costs, fuel prices, and other aspects of the cost of living. It is the state of the address as we walk down President Ruto's speech line by line. And it is second time lucky for Governor Kawira Mwangaza of Meru as the Senate resoundingly rejected the impeachment charges leveled against her by the County Assembly. But who are Kawira's true accusers? And what's that about her gender? The NEWSGANG travels to Meru. Now, the take, the sense, and the kicker are all rolled into one memo tonight, addressed to President William Ruto and his Economic Council of Advisors, CC National Treasury, and the Central Bank of Kenya. The NEWSGANG is here.
I have a substantial report to give on the progress made in fulfilling this solemn covenant, and that the journey of transforming Kenya for the benefit of present and future generations is fully underway. Its positive effect have also begun to bear fruit across many sectors of our national endeavor, from the grassroots all the way to this capital of Nairobi.
That was today. It was an average 1-hour speech when the President of the Republic of Kenya gave what I believe is his inaugural State of the Nation to the joint Houses of Parliament. We will get to that in a moment because that was the big story of the day, but also another big story that took place this week, and that was at the Senate, actually. Twice impeached, twice found not guilty, this time of 11, or were they 7 charges that were leveled against her. This is Kawira Mwangaza, the governor of Meru County. So we just want to, talk a little bit about what happened, how we got here, Sam, a second time around in 10 months, no less.
Yes, and still the end result is the same. And if you recall, around October last year is when the trouble began. Well, it has started a few days after the inauguration, but that's when we started seeing the true image of what difficulty she was facing with the MCAs. And now it's turning out to be an annual event. I don't know if it will happen again next year, but remember, I think it was on 19th of October 2022, and we saw her. She had gone before the House to address State of the County address, like what just happened at the National Assembly and today before the 2 Houses of Parliament by the President. Yet she walks in, she's received, takes the podium, every MCA walks out, and they go out and they start to sing against her. Then after that, there was some chaotic scenes that we witnessed, and they all sang everything that they wanted to sing. There was hurling of stones, and thereafter everyone was giving press conferences based on what they think may have transpired. And then eventually there was an impeachment, same month, which is November. And they sang Kawira Bye Bye, which is a popular song that was sung by one of the family members of the governor, singing against the previous governor at that time. Now, after going to the Senate that time, the Senate said that, yes, there are issues. They do not meet the threshold of impeaching. They're not impeachable offenses, but the county needs to put its act together. And I don't know that they tried, but I remember Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua saying that he's trying to unite that region, the MCAs and the governor. Barely a year later, we're back to where it all started. And you see this time around, it appears that everyone else has given up on the situation in Meru. You see that majority of the members of parliament who sit at the National Assembly, they're against her. The senator of that county is against her. But then again, still going to the Senate, similar allegations, but this time with more, I don't know that to call it evidence, but more material to really show what their case was against Kawira Mwangaza. And then Kawira Mwangaza comes here and gives her defense, including some of those unpalatable things that we witnessed being beamed at the Senate. And the end result cannot impeach. Yeah. So unfortunately, the difficulty is that the 59 MCAs are still MCAs of Meru County. The members of parliament who gave press conferences wanting her out are still members of the National Assembly. And of course, the senator, who is the deputy speaker of the Senate, they are still there. So how does Kawira Mwangaza govern a county where she's also not getting along with her deputy governor, who apparently there is a community organ that has been propping her for what they say that he should be the governor of that county and not Kawira Mwangaza.
Yeah, and that's also, I mean, the politics of this, Linus. And help us understand, because Kawira Mwangaza came you know, to head the county of Meru on an independent ticket. And a good majority, I think, save for 11 or so of the county assembly members are all from the Kenya Kwanza faction or alliance. And so then you start to ask about how a governor who comes in on an independent ticket then works to rally support, you know, from a majority that she doesn't come from. How does an independent elected official then start to rework or consolidate power after winning an election? Is that the problem here, or is there, you know, much bigger problems afoot?
It's a very big problem, especially for Governor Kawira Mwangaza, who was elected on an independent ticket, because what it then means is she goes into a house, that's the county assembly, whose support she's not assured of, whose support she doesn't share political background with members of that house. But some things are uniquely regional. There are things we may not understand about the Meru County Assembly, the Meru County politics, and this whole Kawira Mwangaza situation. But the Senate hearing, the impeachment hearing, brought some very interesting aspects that even the media itself, the national media, missed. When some of those tapes were played, I think a lot of people were shocked. A lot of Kenyans that were not familiar with the details of the contest between Kawira Mwangaza and her opponents in Meru were not familiar with. There was a video of a sitting member of parliament who basically drove a very sexist campaign against Governor Kawira Mwangaza. And in my view, I think that is the moment the impeachment against Kawira Mwangaza collapsed. Right, collapsed on its... Because here was a skunk that has been brought to the House. I think senators were not really aware of things in that detail. That, there was even a member of parliament that was walking around with a club and saying that you can use this to assault the governor of Meru. So Kawira Mwangaza and her team, her defense team, played very smart and rough. That, okay, this is not known about what you do in the grassroots. And remember, the footage was coming from the local stations. And she happens to be associated with one of the stations that probably very ably collected evidence every time there is a demonstration by Mpuri Apuri and there is colorful arrival, charging the crowd with sexist attacks. And this was tabled in the House, and the senators were shocked. Here is the issue. This skunk was having to end in one side. It's going to either be left in the Senate or be left with the male members of parliament and male politicians from Meru County. And I think the Senate had a clear choice that let the skunk be owned by the Meru male politicians. And I think today, Meru male politicians are not sitting pretty, are not looking nice in the eyes of Kenyans who are otherwise not very well versed with what was going on in Meru. Because this was reduced to a very primitive village brawl that is even about gender, that is just about Kawira Mwangaza is a woman. One, Kawira Mwangaza is not a member of a major political party. Kawira Mwangaza defeated
Not one.
Not one, but two of Meru's foremost male political leaders. So there were so many things that then added up in a way that doesn't paint Meru male politicians in a positive light. They have some recovering to do in as far as their perceptions of political leadership with regard to gender is concerned. Because I looked at this last night, and you would see echoes of Nancy Baraza, Deputy Chief Justice, who unfortunately did not have some footage of what really transpired at that mall. She was alleged to have pinched the nose of a guard. And based on that, a very male-dominated process quickly passed judgment. Kawira Mwangaza owes her survival to two things. One is the meticulous recording of footage. That, okay, I'm a bad person, but look at what they're saying. Look at the weapons they want to use. They want to use sticks and to assault me. That was number one. Number two, Kawira Mwangaza was saved by the conduct of some of those members of parliament from Meru. And foremost there is Mpuri Apuri. He was very vulgar. He was nasty. And you started hearing senators saying, I have a daughter. I have daughters.
Mothers.
We have mothers.
Sisters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that was very ugly. And for lack of a better description, that was primitive. Yeah.
So the question is, what happens next? Because these people have to go back home to the county. So we have been subjected to, a national spectacle, and we've been, for the last, for 2 days of this week, we've had a peek into, what's happening in Meru, what the political environment is. But, now that it's over, they go back home, away from the National Assembly, away from the Senate, away from the national media, and have to go work it out. Hopefully, we're not here again in October, November next year. But, here we are again. And I heard some of the senators saying, look, this county doesn't work. And there was a time in this country with similar circumstances with the Makueni County, the impeachment, and then there was I think, the petition to suspend the regional government altogether. You remember that commission of inquiry into the dissolution of Makueni County that was appointed by President Uhuru Kenyatta. They then made the recommendation to disband the county government, and President Uhuru Kenyatta at the time said, he declined, with that, and asked them to go back and resolve their long-standing political wrangles. But so here we are again now. I think that stood out for me, where they were saying this county simply cannot work in the way that it is structured with the elected officials. So what happens now? Because they go back and have to figure it out, provide services, to the people of Meru County, and yet 2 impeachments in less than 1 year. So what next?
They have no choice but to figure out how to work together. And you can only imagine what a responsibility Governor Kawira Mwangaza has, because here you are, you fought for the seat alone, an independent candidate. Nobody supported you, in fact. But if you recall, just after the election last year, she made a move and said that she's going to work with the Kenya Kwanza administration. And of course, you know what she was trying to look for. Because she's not alone. There are several governors. If you talk about the governor of Nairobi, Johnson Sakaja, the governor of Samburu, the governor of Turkana, the governor of Isiolo, West Pokot, all these come from, they won the election in a party that was not the majority party in their county assemblies. But they have found ways of working around it. If you have to imagine Governor of Isiolo, that is Abdi Goyo, he was elected on a Jubilee ticket. Majority of the parliamentarians or the county assembly members are from the Kenya Kwanza administration. So what did he do? Along the way, he found a way of wooing the MCAs to his side. In fact, Jubilee Party at the moment is divided on whether it is in Azimio or it's in Jubilee. If you have to look at a county like Trans Nzoia County, Governor George Natembeya comes from the DEP party. The majority of the county assembly members are from the Kenya Kwanza administration, but he has found a way of working around that. The governor of Turkana comes from the ODM party, but Azimio MCAs were the minority. Today, the governor of Turkana is working with the Kenya Kwanza, and by and large with the entire county, to an extent that even that county, the politics of that is sort of not in favor of Raila Odinga, who has actually, his party had dominated that area for some time. So there is a way that, because they are all politicians, they have found ways of working with those MCAs. You don't know what that arrangement is, but they have found it. So it is up to the leaders in Meru County to figure out, even if we don't like each other, we are here to serve the people of Meru County. So if it is the county assembly, their work is to represent the Mwananchi. It is to legislate, and it is to push for the interests of the people there. For Governor Kawira Mwangaza, she's there to lead the county, really. Even if she's not being given that opportunity, she has to find out how to do that. What I don't know is whether this time around there will be attempts by the national administration to sort of bring some sobriety in that area, knowing that they have failed for a whole lot of months, but they have to find it.
Yeah, and it's a really hard start for, you know, the county.
I think the other thing is some duty comes to the Senate to start defining the threshold of what is an impeachable offense. Because when you look at this, there is a strong element of just dislike. People just don't like each other. That's the one. And number two, they come from different parties. So how can this principle of impeachment be protected from abuse? Because in Meru, it's becoming apparent that this is an abuse of the process. When you look at the evidence that was being submitted on the floor of the Senate the last 2 days, most of it was just about footage. One rally of Njuri, another is a rally of MPs. And there was a cow. There was a cow in the mix. Yes. An innocent cow, I must say, because he didn't speak. And the threshold is something really that should be reviewed, so that these counties and members of county assemblies also understand that impeachment has a threshold. You really must put together your evidence. You can't just dislike somebody. Maybe you feel they're not working with you and now you want them out. I mean, Kawira Mwangaza, okay, she looked beaten yesterday in terms of her body language. But she is a very strong grassroots mobilizer. For her to win twice, remember she came through as a woman rep first. And an independent one at that, not a party affiliated. So it's a path she has beaten. Now, there is that element where and it can cause her to be either strong-headed or politically overconfident, because if this thing was to go back to the people and, you know, we speak to people who come from that region, and they say, look, if you take it back to the vote,
she will win again.
She'll run again, and she might win again. So we have that situation where the popularity thing also is a factor. Is she a lone ranger? To a large extent, yes. Because every accusation, the one consistent one that has come, is she's working with people that are close to her. One of them is a famous guitarist that plays music that sometimes is not well received by opponents of the governor. So there are things that she might need to do. There was a time she was told to tone it down at the family level. Your bodyguards are from your family. Your husband is too close. He's got a road at some point. And a role in some county function or the other. Yes, the first gentleman. And I don't know how she's going to govern that, because the rest of the governors also, their spouses are out there doing things. This one, we've not seen him in caucuses of governor spouses. So I don't know. The Meru issue is really, really complicated. and there is a very strong element of gender in it, which needs to be managed because it's not sending very good optics out here in terms of the politics of Meru. What came out from the hearing is, first and foremost, Kawira Mwangaza is a woman.
Yeah.
And that should not have been the most impeachable of the offenses.
Yeah, indeed. She has much work to do. They all have much work to do. Hopefully, we will not be here again, you know, for the sake of, if anyone, the people of Meru County, because, you know, it's been a pretty rough start from the very beginning. But that was what was happening at the Senate, but also what did happen within the precincts of Parliament today.